Afternoon, Neil. Let's quickly look back at the defeat on Tuesday night. You said you were second best around. I think everyone who was here would have had to agree with you.
Do we have to look back? Yeah, we were. Obviously, it's at the time, they're a good team, and you think, right, they're overrunning us, they're doing this, that, and the other. You watch back the goals, and they're disappointing. Even if we defend properly, and in some of the cases, it's the lads trying too hard. It's not lads being lazy. It's we had two people trying to do the same job, somebody trying to fill in for somebody rather than stay around the edge of the box, and it's a little bit of it's communicational stuff. But it is what it is at the moment, and looking back on them, they're disappointing. But all we can do is go on the training field, show video analysis, make sure the lads are aware of how we want to defend and the key elements of that, and try and eradicate and learn from it so that we're better.
I think do we have to look back at that? It's actually a really interesting point though, isn't it? Because with having a game so quickly after that, you don't just want to keep focusing on the negatives, do you? I know you've got to show them what went wrong, but you've got to try and remain positive.
Yeah, we always try and do the positive stuff. I think the games are so thick and fast, it's really difficult to sort of reflect too long. I said to the players in the dressing room after, look, we've got a nice feeling around us. Certainly going into Tuesday night, there was a little bit of a buzz around the place, and I don't want to lose that. And if I go in and start ripping into them, we might lose it quickly. So I just sort of said, look, we have to take that one on the chin, and we'll look at what we can do better. And my take on it is Barnet. I spoke to their manager. He stayed with us for about an hour in the office after, and I get on really well with him. And that's sort of been 2.5 years in the making to build this team and get the recruitment where they wanted to, several transfer windows to put together a team that reflected him in many ways. So it shows how sort of the process needs to go, and they're ahead of us. We're going to have to play them sort of second half of the season away from home, and my job is to sort of try my best to, when that time comes, have a team that's more of a match for them.
And it shows that you do need time sometimes at football clubs. I remember last year City won there 5-0. The game before, I think they lost 5-0. I think they lost 5-0, 4-0, 5-0 in 3 games. But they stuck with Dean Brennan because they believed what he was trying to do and implement that football club was the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a perfect fit for the club, him and his staff. So, it does show that patience and time is important for any management. But obviously you've got to be showing improvement. You've got to be showing that what the job you're doing is starting to bear fruition. So I think from our point of view, we've already talked about it, there's no quick fix here. We've got, we're trying to work players in, players out. We're, like I said to you before, this isn't going to be a money tree. I know we've made some sort of big signings in the summer, but I think that it isn't a money tree. It's a case of now kind of one in, one out type, cost neutral. The budget's already sort of gone to a level that we don't want it to go any higher, so we've got to be shrewd in our business to try and improve the team.
We'll come on to players in a second then. After the defeat on Tuesday, the last thing I suppose you want is a game against a team that are flying high in second, unbeaten after 12.
Yeah, don't get any easier, but it's when you reflect on things, and I don't know how fans feel about this sort of thing, but if you'd have said going into the Southend game, Southend at home, Oldham away, Woking away, Barnet at home, that we're going to take 6 points from them 4 games, whether that be 1 win, 3 draws, whether it be 2 wins, I think we'd have all gone, okay, that's a decent start, because that's a tough fixture list, and ultimately once you've got the 6, it becomes even more disappointing when you don't increase it. So we've got to look at the next 3 games and try and set something where we're chipping away, and that's what it is. It's trying not to get into a rut in this next 3-month period going into Christmas and New Year. We've got to try and keep our form where we're chipping away and we're picking up points, and we are slowly trying to evolve as a team. And if we can do that, then we can kind of try and look upwards and go, you've got to be very careful you don't get yourself into a rut where you're looking behind you.
Is it strange coming up against a team where maybe just 3 or 4 months ago you'd have still been here at the match but in charge of the opposition? That
is weird. It's a new experience for me, but we felt like we did some good work in the summer there. Carl Morrison, Matty Warburton's done great. Gus Mafood, the lads would know from here, that complemented what we felt we needed at the club. And there was a few others as well that we went and signed, and they're having good seasons from the feedback I've been getting. Obviously, Wingy's come in and added some more quality to it. So I think they've got good players. I know they've got good players because I've worked with a lot of them, and they're very underrated and very good. 12 games unbeaten is an incredible feat. Very, very good defensively. I think their goals conceded records first or second in the league. They get back into their sort of 5-4-1 shape very, very quickly, hard to break down, protect the middle of the pitch, and they've got good players who can score going forward. So, again, whether it'll be, every game is different. I don't think it will be like the Barnet game because they're a different team with different players, but there'll be a similar shape, and we've got challenges to overcome.
It sounds like you're not surprised they've had such a good start.
No, there's good players. There's good players. I think momentum's really important. You can lose momentum, you can gain momentum. Confidence can be high, can be low. There's so many things that winning games and going unbeaten can give you, and on the flip side, losing games can take away from you. So, they say 90% of the games up there, and it is. A manager can give a team confidence, but that feeling can really come from momentum, and they've got it at the moment, and we're looking for it. And
just focus on one player, because I'm referred to who you mentioned there. Of course, was at York City last season, but struggled throughout the whole season really to get going because he kept picking up injuries. He stayed fit this year. Do you think they're reaping the benefits of that?
Yeah, I do. I've always liked Gus. I liked him when he's been at Hartlepool and Wood and clubs like that. I've always liked him. And when we was at Solihull in the summer, and we was looking, we had technically gifted players, very technically gifted, and we wanted that bit of power and pace in midfield and a little bit of strength, and we thought Gus was the ideal player for that. So, we went and signed him because we thought he complemented what we had, and he can handle the ball as well. And the feedback I'm getting again is he's having a very good season.
Your players then, you've let Alex Hurst leave the football club. Is that part of that one in, one out philosophy you talked about?
I just think it's, you're looking at the squad, you're looking at positions. We've got several wingers. You're trying to look at who fits in, who doesn't. And with Hursty, an opportunity came up where a club inquired about him. We took it to Hursty. The club then said they would be willing to do a permanent. So we just thought, okay, rather than do loans, let's look at that. So we looked into that, and it helps to take, give a little bit of money back, because the owners, as you know, have been fantastic here, and they've put a lot of money in to try and do things and kick-start the season. And you can't keep putting your hand out and asking for the money tree. You've got to sometimes balance the books, and that's what we're trying to do.
Some questions then, I suppose we ask you every couple of days at the minute. Any more going out before the weekend? Any more coming in?
We're working on a couple of potential loans.
Are they in or out?
Out. We're working on a couple in, but there's one loan that we're quite keen on and we like the look of, but he probably just needs one more game. Coming back from a niggle at the level he's at, so trying to get him in before Saturday might be difficult. So that's something we're monitoring over this weekend. So we still feel there's a little imbalance that we could do with. We're going into 3 months of winter time, so there's a little bit of imbalance we might need to rectify ourselves.
How's the illness situation?
We've given a couple of lads today off, an extra day off. Most of the group were back in today, but there was a couple that were rough that I spoke to last night and sounded rough. So I said, look, have another day away from the place. Don't want it spreading, and there would have been no good to us coming in. One turned up today and didn't look great, so we sent him home as well. So listen, it's no excuse. People get injuries. People get, it's not like we've got a 15, 16 man squad. First day I walked in, I said we had a 32-man squad, so people will just say, we'll use some of the players you got, and that's what it'll have to be. But I'll assess it tomorrow. I mean, in one or two cases, the shape of the team might be dictated by whether they're well or not. If they're not well, it would possibly be impossible to play one shape that I might want to, and I'll have to change the shape. So everything's in the balance really, but whatever we do, we'll go out and we'll try and put a well-drilled team out for the game.
And the players that came back, I'm thinking specifically of Callum Harriott the other night, is he fit enough, do you think, to start on Saturday if need be, and is Lennell John Lewis available now? Yeah,
Lenny hopefully will be all good. Callum, I'm not sure I'd probably rush just yet. He's a fast twitch fibre player that's had a little hamstring here or there in his career. You have to be very mindful that they're ready to do what you need to do. So at the moment, I think he's a very good option off the bench, whether I'll consider starting him. Injuries might tell you, but at the moment I think the right thing to do would probably not be.
I suppose the main aim is to get a positive performance, because generally positive performances do result in decent results, whether that's a point against Solihull or a win at the weekend.
Yeah, I always try and say to the lads, don't let the result affect the performance. So you have to focus on a performance, and that's not just the way you play nice football, quality on the ball. It's the other day part of our performance that wasn't good enough was our defending of their goals. And they were all not just one mistake, but they were all like one little, 3 or 4 little things that ended up with us causing our own problems. So we'll try and put that in. I think when we've conceded the goals we have, and when you look at the opposition we're playing who don't concede a lot, it's going to be very important that we're better without the ball.
Great, thank you.
So Neil, let's touch on Barnet first of all. I know you said you didn't really want to, just really quick one. Would it be fair to say that it was a case of Barnet just being really strong on the night? I mean, they looked amazing rather than City being weaker.
I think it's both. I don't think you normally get a disparity between teams at this level unless it's a little bit of both. I think last season Notts County and Wrexham blew the league away. They were exceptional and it was very hard to compete with them. I think this season it's a lot tighter. I think obviously Chesterfield, Solihull and Barnet are at the top, but I think Gateshead are really strong. But I think any team can put in a performance against any team at this level. I think when the gap was that big, like it was on Tuesday, and I just think we probably underperformed, and they were right on their game, and because they're ahead of us in their development as a team, it showed.
Match this weekend at home against obviously your former club in Solihull Moors. They've looked brilliant so far, as we've mentioned. It's amazing, still unbeaten. How much have they impressed you this season?
Yeah, they've done great. I still stay in touch with I've got some friends there on the staff. I still stay in touch with them. I obviously watch loads of games in our league, so I watch them. Lots of players I'm very fond of as well. So they've done great. To go 12 games unbeaten is exceptional. Even Chesterfield, who are flying, can't match that. They've probably had more draws than they would have liked, but they're very, very hard to break down, and they've got a very good structure without the ball, certainly.
It's been a really tough week for City, of course. Woking, Barnet and Solihull all within a week, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, all big hitters in the division. Do you think it's a step too far this weekend to get a result, or do you reckon you can pull it off?
No, I don't think it's a step. I don't think anything's a step. I think in this league, anyone, if they bring their A game, can beat anyone. No, not at all. I'm going in there fully trying to, and trying to put into the lads how we win the game. And I don't go in there thinking, if we was playing Manchester City away in the cup game, I might say, let's go and enjoy the occasion. But in this league, we're certainly going to try our best to win and put a positive mindset on the group that we can win.
Brilliant. And from there, cheers.
Hi Neil. Just looking at this sort of week you've got, obviously we touched upon it a little bit, but just how much work does you get to put in the training pitch then when you've got so many games in such short time?
It's hard, not a lot. We did a good session Monday, not that it paid off on Tuesday night, but we spent a fair bit of time trying to execute a game plan on Monday, which we kind of didn't. We then, today was about just trying to get people's legs back. One player covered over 13k on Tuesday night, and we had quite a few in the 12s, and obviously we've alluded to the fact that 1 or 2 have been ill. So it's no good training them today and trying to push them too hard today when the most important thing is they've got to be ready to go again 3 o'clock on Saturday. So we can use video, which we have done today. Coxie and Macca have spent a bit of time with the defenders and midfielders looking at video, certain situations, what we can do better. And the rest of it's been recovery strategies to get their legs back so that we can at least train properly tomorrow and prepare for the game.
Yeah, and don't get much easier on tomorrow either, or on Saturday. How impressive have you been with your successor at Solihull, Andy Wink?
Yeah, they've done a great job. They've got really good staff there that I worked with and inherited when I came in, and Andy's inherited as well. Fantastic facilities and good players. We felt like we'd done a good transfer window in the summer. I think we brought 5, maybe 6 in. And they've been playing very, very well, the players they brought in, and they've added 2 already very good players. We got to the playoff final the season before last and was sort of 8 minutes away from getting promotion. So there's good players there. They've added good players. good structure, good training ground, lots of good things in place. It's all set up, ready to go.
Are these matches sort of easier to prepare for? Sorry, because you've worked with most of their squad all throughout pre-season as well. You've worked with most of their squad throughout the past year or two. Is it easier to prepare for?
Well, I know the players better and I know their strengths and weaknesses, obviously, so I wouldn't say it's easier to prepare for. It's a good team. I've got to focus on my team. It's really difficult. Over the last few seasons when I've been at Notts County and at Solihull, we've put together a really strong team, one of the better teams we feel in the league, and that's shown because we've been playoffs. And it's been easier to focus on my team and the way we play and the way we want to do things, because we think if we're at it, the opposition have got to contain us. I think here we've come into a team that needs confidence lifting, that needs a bit of structure, needs a bit of style. So it's harder to go straight in and go, right, let the opposition worry about us, because we've got a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of things we need to be better at in our structure. Obviously, I've only had really 1 week of training before we've gone Saturday, Tuesday. So there's lots of things we can improve on. But at the moment, I'm having to work a little bit harder to make sure that we understand our roles against an opposition and a system, whilst trying to implement the way we want to play as well. So it's a little bit harder for us at the moment.
Do you have any updates on Kevin Castro and Jack Stott?
Kevin's back doing some running today. He hasn't gone into contact yet. Jack Stott was running as well today, didn't join in contact. So the physio will update me later on what their next steps are.
One player back at the club as well, Finlay Barnes. How do you envisage his long-term future with you?
Well, Finn, I've had a chat with Finlay. I mean, he's one that may be going back out on loan. I think he felt he needed a different challenge on his loans. I'd said he's a young lad needing to play and show us what he can do in games. And so we're talking about putting him on a programme, a strengthening programme, all this kind of stuff. But he's a talented boy. We like what we see. I just think at the moment with where we are and the players we've got, these players need to play rather than be disappointed every week. We've looked at all sorts, even, through our sort of imbalance in the squad, people like Cedric Main. I've had Cedric back in training, but I haven't got a call back on him. So when the loan deal was done for Cedric to go to Blythe, there's no callback. So if we're looking and we could do with another forward, I can't call him back, nor can I call Sam Sanders back, because there's no callback in that. That was all done prior to me being in it. So we're monitoring these players. In an ideal world, we would be able to have the option to be able to have them back if we wanted, but we haven't, and that's why we're active in the market for certain positions.
Yeah, and what positions in particular do you want to strengthen?
Well, I think at the moment, Crooks is obviously injured and maybe out for a couple of weeks. We've got in the right back spot, Ducky's out and Levy's out long term. So our full-back areas are literally limited to 2 players at the moment, which is Ryan Fallowfield, who's not been well all week, and Thierry, who had stomach cramps in the game on Tuesday night. So that's probably the positions that we're most weakest in our balance. So that's a position we may be looking at.
Yeah, last one from me. Obviously, York City supporter Dave Barton passed away recently. Have you got any messages for his family or just the wider York City community?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of outpouring, and I spoke to a lot of the players about him. Obviously, I never got to meet Dave that often. I think my first game was the only time I would have got to meet him. So he was a gentle man. Everybody said what a lovely guy he was and how dedicated he was to York. I know his family were at the game on Tuesday night, which was fantastic, and I hope they continue to sort of carry on that relationship with York City. I think there's a lot of love for Dave, and I think that's what a football club is about. When you've got a fan who was so dedicated to his football club, it's good for the football club to try and give back, and our love and our wishes are with his family, and I think we hope that close-knit relationship stays.
Thank you very much.
Hiya. Sorry. Ardley said that he wants to maintain an average of 1.8 goals per game. Do you think that's sort of possible? How do you think you would push that with your team?
1.8 points, I think I said,
oh,
not goals.
Sorry.
But I'd be happy if we scored 1.8 goals. I think what I said was in that interview was that 1.8 points per game is what I've always tried to hit with the clubs, because that is playoff form above playoff form. So you always aim up in them areas. Obviously, I've got to be realistic where there's lots of things we've got to get better at here at York. There's no harm in aiming for 1.8. You know, even if you're achieving 1.5, 1.4 points a game, it will chip away at where you need to go, so that you're not looking over your shoulder. You know, so how do I go about that? There's a million and one ways to. At the moment, I need to get on the training ground with the players. I need to do some good work with them. We need to get through this fixture list and pick up what we can while we're developing. And you know, I've got a couple of presentations I want to do to the players that I haven't really had the time to do yet, about what a performance by numbers looks like, the stats we need to hit, both physically and in our performance, our expected goals, our clear-cut chances, our final third entries, and the way we're going to do that. So there's loads to work on, as well as improving the training ground, as well as improving the sports science department, bringing staff in, a million and one things. But you start bit by bit trying to build it.
Yeah, and obviously it's been quite a hard few games with a lot of the teams that you've been playing recently, but Saturday was a lot better than Tuesday. How do you think you're going to try and learn from the Tuesday game for this coming game this weekend?
All you can do is learn from your mistakes, learn from what you saw on the night, whether there was anxiety in the players, whether it was too easy for the opposition to regain the ball, whether we turned the ball over in wrong areas. You know, you can only learn from all these things and try to work at being better at them. I'm not one that does a witch hunt when people make mistakes. I don't do a blame culture. So we win together, we lose together, and I want the whole back four, the goalie, the midfielders to all look at what we could have done better without the ball and say, right, we've got to make sure that we remember that when them scenarios come in the game on Saturday to be better. Because if you look at Solihull, they're second in the league because without the ball, they've all been very, very good.
Yeah. And you had a bit of a star player during the Tuesday game, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
There we go. And how do you think the other players should be, do you think they should be learning from him a little bit or putting in the same energy that he was for that game?
I don't think it's a case of energy. I don't think any of the players don't work harder than Depot. I think Depot is a very talented player, and we all know that, and the players know that, who when we produce good moments for him, he's going to take the limelight by scoring goals and assisting goals because he's got that quality. So what we need to do as a team, and Depot's included in this, is we need to be better in our middle third play so that we can create more chances in the final third, which we wasn't on Tuesday night, but Depot got his 2 or 3 moments and created properly. If we can get players like Depot, players like Lenny, Maz, you know, all these sort of players in the right areas, in 1v1 scenarios, I'm sure they can all produce good moments and they can all take the limelight. Very similar to some of the Barnet players on Tuesday night.